Hey, welcome back to YBM Podcast.
AKA Young Black Man.
And today we have
Josh, the chosen one.
Little Man with the Plan, Elijah Faith, AKA Keep the Faith.
and myself, my Terrence Tucker, aka Sam the Prophet. You already knew it. And today we'll be talking about accepting being a Negro in society. So, how do y'all feel about that?
Except being a Negro?
Yeah.
I think many black men has accepted the fact that you know, that mentality, they have accepted that mentality that we have to act a certain way in the world because we're a black man instead of just breaking out of norms and stuff. I think the fact is that we don't look into our own history to find out where we really come from.
Or to what it really means to truly have a way of understanding not just history, but yourself and the next person who stands before you.
Yeah, I think being accepting yourself in this society as a Negro is to lower yourself, because like in this society they don't talk about us being kings and queens. Like all we know, or all our parents knew, is that we were slaves, and then now they taught us Christianity and stuff like that, but really it's like backwards. That's what I feel about.
I think that's one of the reasons why we act a certain way. Like if you just, your history is all about being enslaved. Like when we in class, you know, we take history because they talk about is like black people being slaves, and if you teach that like around the world to millions of black kids,
It's like saying we're not on the mountain.
Yeah, we having the mountain of we all slaves, so they're gonna continue that tradition of acting a certain way like a slave, being a slave, doing slave things. I know one thing. I think that's why white people prosper. I'm not saying they do good things, but I think that's one reason why they break barriers is because they know their history. They know they can accomplish stuff.
They know their background. They know about their people being kings and queens.
Exactly.
And that's
yeah.
And that's, do you feel, so let me ask you both a question.
Okay.
Do you feel that we're submitting the physical mentality of the white man instead of finding ourselves to submitting a physical mind mentality of a black man?
Say that again.
Do you feel that us,
Okay.
as a black nation,
Yeah.
do you feel that we submit ourselves mentally with the mentality of a white man, or do you feel that we are submitting ourselves physically of a mind mentality of a black man?
Oh, so you want to answer it? Or
Yeah,
I got some stuff
yeah,
like that too.
It took me a minute to think about what he said, but I get it. Like, I think that they take control of the mind, and with them taking control of the mind, they can also take control of the physical. Like, you have to be able to control somebody's spiritual sense. Like, with the mind is spiritual, so what's in your mind is gonna put you and take you to different places. That's what I think. Like whatever you think about, that's what you making. You have to build off that. You can't build off something that's not there. You know what I'm saying?
I wanted to say on that, like you said, we submit to the white man's mind and we accept the white man's mind ourselves.
And I'm not just stating that off the record. I'm basically putting it as we have been morally chosen.
Okay.
As being depicted as pawns to the white man. But didn't mean we submitted to them because we couldn't find no way out.
We never submitted to the white man.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I said on the previous podcast, like we wasn't enslaved, we were just enslaved. And the fact that we tend to, like, you know how they say we act white, that's like a good thing to act white if you're really intelligent and stuff like that.
It doesn't mean you're white.
It doesn't.
You're unlocked.
Intellectual.
You're unlocked.
So intellectual is always, like, in that sense of what you just said, by definition, intellectual means white. That's what you're saying.
Nah, I'm not equating.
That's not how it should be.
No, I don't want to equate that to white, because when you act intelligent, especially as a black man, it's hard to find middle ground with both the white people and the black people. And it's hard to find middle ground with both, because if you act intelligent and you black, the black people gonna be like, he acting white, and then the white people aren't gonna accept you because they're gonna feel like you above them. And it's just, I'm saying it's hard to find middle ground between both. Losing the slave mentality, it's hard to find middle ground with both the black community and the white community. Is that right?
You're saying it's hard to find a middle ground.
It's hard to find a middle ground.
So basically, we're standing somewhere in between both instead of standing on one side.
Yes.
So you're saying it's hard for people to choose sides. I think if we were to have a race ride.
No, I think it's hard for people to accept on both sides of the spectrum. That say, I know we don't got the slave mentality. I know our audience don't have the slave mentality. But if it's someone out there,
No, majority of them do. By secret, because what I mean by slave mentality is probably different for yours. But
yeah.
I equate that with a black person, basically defending their slave master, basically defending the people that did wrong to your people. That's slave mentality to me.
I think slave mentality is like we tend to like not follow, but we tend to like act a certain way, not niggerish, but like in a way of the way we carry ourselves is like human beings, especially as black people, that projects out into the world, or the way what we buy, or what we don't buy, or how we spend our money, or how we raise our kids, or like for example, the only person I can really say who didn't have the slave mentality was like, who comes to the top of my head is like Malcolm X. He had the slave mentality back in the day, what he was doing, and then
he was doing what any other common person would do.
Exactly, he was doing.
But that didn't defy him.
That's what I'm getting at.
That didn't defy him as another man who made extremely poor choices. That came from his own mind. But like he said, the angriest mind is the narrow mind.
He said that.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, I like that.
I guess that's when he found peace. Like near to his end. Like you can't always be angry, but then you have to be angry at like the system that you live in order for you to see real change.
Because the system is going against, it's already against us, but now we have to fight against them. Not in violence sense, but system sense, the sense of laws that they're using to degrade us, to antagonize us, to have us going against and pitting against each other. Because I can tell you that there's more young black, I'm not saying that there's become a conclusion of that, but I feel that there are more black men who are behind jail, who are behind bars right now, or who are facing death row for a crime that they didn't commit. But you also have to look at it from look back at it from a standpoint of the year of 1924. Most black men were killed just for even looking at a white man or a white woman. And if you, like George Steiner Jr., who was 14 years old, who was also known as the youngest death row inmate in history, where a lot of people feel to not know that, but they say that it came from, he's supposed to be murdering two little white young women.
Yeah.
And I said to myself, how can they didn't have any DNA evidence to prove he was there, to prove that he physically touched them in any way. He didn't. And the timing that where he was supposed to have been at didn't match with the time the girls were killed at. So when I said to myself, this is what America is built on. I'm saying it's not built on us being together or becoming together, but I feel that it's only just built on of making one race extinct and making the next race.
I think it's like similar to like what we learned in history, like with no taxation without representation, and they do that a lot with us. They try to do it with some of their people too, like the British and the Loyalists, all that stuff that they teach us in school that don't really resonate with us.
Yeah. Is it hard for y'all to pay attention in history class because it's not black people?
I'm gonna be honest. Back in high school,
At first it was.
it was tough.
Y'all know, I know we seen the movie Superfly. Y'all seen that movie Superfly?
Yeah.
And it's a movie called I can't think of the name for nothing. I think it's called Wolf of Wall Street, and it was depicting it was kind of depicting the same thing: a white person getting to the top, and then he losing it all, and then at the same time, in Superfly, it was depicting a drug dealer trying to get out the game. That resonated a lot with black people because one, who ain't trying to get up out the hood? I mean, anyone is trying to get up out the hood. Who ain't trying to get $1 million? But it resonated a lot with black people because they saw that if you was a drug dealer, that was the only way for you to make like a lot of money and to get where you want to be in life. I wanted to ask y'all this question personally, like, how do you rid yourself from the slave mentality if you are someone who got the slave mentality?
I don't necessarily. I could talk about that, but I do want to I want to add to when you said about the slave mentality.
Okay.
Because this another slave mentality that I noticed too. Like, you know, the light skin versus dark skin.
Yeah.
And well, you know, we see that within like the jobs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
A light skinned woman or a light skinned dude can easily get a job faster than a dark skinned person can.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why is because that's systematically slave mentality. That type of slave mentality is still being used to get into certain jobs in certain fields.
If you lighter skin, they're gonna equate you with being like the purest something. You know what they?
More professional.
Yeah, more professional, more kind-hearted,
more presentable.
Yeah, more. You have the
more substantial. Who's always a person who's just there to do the job and never backtalk, stuff like that.
Y'all ever look
You
at the
don't
definition?
You don't look like you would do something
bad.
or,
Yeah. So we can look like.
You can be the most innocent person.
Yeah, that's all I get in there. You can be the innocent person.
Out of everyone who's there, just keeps up problems and keeps up restitution.
It really be the black people who be doing their work, like really out here trying to like make something of themselves, but yet
But then
we
you have to understand, we have to climb that ladder.
It's hard to climb that ladder. That's what I'm getting at. It's hard to climb that ladder. Just
it's
because
crazy to see it, but I heard a girl talk to me about that too. She was like, not to be green, or like it was a pretty girl that I was talking to, and she was telling me like, not to be green, but that is right. Like, she know a light-skinned dude that can get a job any day of the week if he wanted to. But like, it's real difficult.
What is the definition of white? Do y'all know?
The definition of white.
White, yeah.
Square dealing, loyal, pure,
yeah.
snow, flexing,
Yeah.
flexing. Ugh.
What's the definition of black?
Everything bad.
Everything opposite of white.
Yeah, everything the opposite.
Opposite of white.
You know, but like, are we gonna fight over definitions, or are we gonna fight over the system? Which one you want to fight over?
You know how people who rules the system though?
They do.
Yeah, it's hard to
really,
fight.
Really, not they do. White supremacy does.
And I can tell you that there are more judges
Who are
in the
white
state of
supremacy.
Tennessee.
Yeah.
And you know for sure that they're in every other state, but you know, just looking at Tennessee alone, people thinks that it's a democratic state, but really it's a Confederate state.
What?
It's Tennessee.
Oh yeah.
Tennessee being a Confederate state.
Tennessee is a Confederate state. It's ruled by the corrupt politicians that says that wants to make change for us, like Bernie Sanders, who I look at. He was discussing making minimum wage more higher so that more people can have better work, better living conditions.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if he chooses to fight for that, why haven't we started seeing examples of that?
Have y'all voted yesterday?
Hmm.
Should I vote? Did you vote?
I'm gonna be honest, I didn't have the time.
I think that's one reason
I
why.
did, but lines were too long. I was not gonna stand out there for 2 hours.
It's actually cool. I think that's one reason why black people, I ain't gonna say black people are in this situation out here, but the people who control their environment are in, their environment is the way it is right now is because they don't do what y'all just did.
Being
They don't know their leaders in
the mayors and leaders in the Senate, all that stuff.
I mean, I don't know about too much about the Senate, but
those are the people that
if you care about your
overseers.
Cool. If you care about like your community, I think you should look to your community leaders. If you care about your state, or if you care about your city, you should look into your city leaders. If you care about your state, your state leaders.
Okay,
but
I got a question.
Black people don't do that. They don't even know who like being.
I got a real good question for you. Okay, so we're talking about politics. Okay, so with all that you just said about the senator, the Senate, and people that's in, those are the overseers. That's what I'm saying. But what if you go to those people and you tell them what the problem is, and then they don't fix it? Like with, how with the potholes in certain, like the lower state part of the city versus the upper state.
I don't think it's the problem with them personally. Like say if like Elijah's like the mayor of the city or something like that. Yeah, he could be. And I go to him with a situation involving like my community, and he doesn't fix that problem. It's really not my fault that he doesn't fix it. I personally, if I didn't vote for him, I don't think he wasn't. Let me see. He wasn't. If he didn't,
his focus wasn't on that. His focus is on something else.
If he wasn't approving my agenda, if he wasn't fighting for who I was, I don't think I should go to him with the problems I have, because he's not the person I wanted in that position. I'm not saying that.
But what if
he was the person you wanted in that position?
If he was the person,
he still hasn't done something he said.
If he was the person in that position, and he was the person I like chose to be in that position, I'm gonna like real time. I'm gonna be like, bro, what you doing? Like, we put you here for this particular reason, and you not doing what you set out to do.
Let's say this is something that's really happening right now in Memphis, like the lead poisoning situation.
Yeah, I heard about
like,
that.
how do you feel about that? Like, what if you appoint somebody to fix that problem, and you see that a couple months pass, a year or two pass, and you still haven't seen any change, and people still hollering about lead poisoning in Memphis, Tennessee, that's really prone.
The woman spoke to us about that, about the lead poisoning situation. I would say this: one, people who like control that not really doing their job, and they really not listening to the people. So we're gonna have to continue to fight for what's right. Like literally, like we're gonna have to continue to fight what's right. We're gonna have to speak, like use our voices, the power that we have now, to speak up for what's against us.
About those situations.
Yeah, I mean,
because a closed mouth will not get fed.
Yeah.
Because that's basically lead poisoning only deals with the exposure of chemicals, dust. Basically, it's occurring in these schools because
in the paint, the old lead that they have inside the sinks and all this stuff.
Yeah, walls, everything. The very desk that we sit in has lead in it.
Yeah. I think that's one of the reasons. Like, we should really I don't know, it's this preacher. I forgot his name, but he was at y'all know Aretha Franklin.
Yeah.
He was at her funeral. He kind of like a big preacher. He said, if you get, and this is why they do a lot of voter suppression. He said, if you get the black people, black old people, black young people, the homeless, and the minority to all vote for the candidate they all back, you would systematically change the course of this country. Because one, they don't want us to vote, and we fought for that a long time. Why you don't think they want us to vote?
It's not even just that.
Yeah.
I think some people, like me, myself, I know about myself, like, I don't feel like appointing one person will help change what's happening to 1 million people. I don't think that, honestly.
What you think you should do?
Because what our problem is different from what the urban community problem. You get what I'm saying? It's different in different cities, different populations of people. So that's why I think a governor is probably better than a president. But at the same time, a governor is going to only help who they think they can invest in.
That's true.
So it's about money too at the same time.
But the thing about it, that's one thing we don't have.
What? Money?
We don't have that kind of economic substantial amount.
Support, really.
Yeah.
We don't have economic support because then if you think about it, look at Memphis. Don't you know Elvis Presley has those rules that haven't been fixed on?
And that's why they constantly moving out. They moving out of Cordova right now as we speak.
Well, so they moving out of Cordova to come to the university. I mean, not the university, but Elvis Presley.
They moving on out. They not even.
Why y'all think they invest into Elvis Presley so much?
Because of Elvis. Because of the popularity he had.
When you go to when you drive down Elvis Presley,
his house is still standing.
His house still standing. They build. They gonna only the people who do control. I agree and disagree with your point, Sam.
Yeah.
I feel like the people who do control, where we stay and stuff like that. Y'all know the hotel next to Elvis' house.
Are you talking about
I can't think of the name right now.
Not the Heartbreak Hotel. That's across the street. The name of the hotel.
Well, that hotel, y'all know what used to be there?
What used to be there?
Yeah.
It was a project
Some
for black people.
some projects, right?
Yeah.
They had, I don't know if they, I ain't gonna say they kicked them out. I ain't gonna sit here and state some.
It's a form of gentrification. Basically.
It was form of gentrification, and they only did that. I heard that they paid the owner $10 million to build that hotel on that property.
And he kicked all those people out that needed a home.
Exactly, bro. Exactly. I mean, I think because it's the only way, and it's the Greek mythology way to you know, appoint the right person to represent us as a whole. Because I don't. But at the same time, Sam.
But then again, how would we know if we can pick, even if we do actually pick the right candidate, how would we know if they're not gonna be on what they said that they were?
You gotta make sure they on their side. You fool.
Then you have to think about it.
We the boss though. Like that's the thing about it. That's what people forget. Like the president is the president, but the people is his boss though. So we have to make sure he's doing the right thing because he's the president. We have to make sure he's doing the right thing. Like your community leaders. If they ain't doing what they doing, you got the right to say, hey, you ain't doing what you're doing. You know that? The people did y'all know that?
Wait, that you had the power to do that?
Yeah, fool. Why they say power to the people? They don't say that for nothing.
The people is the one who
If
got the
he
mental
had power
power.
to the people, then Trump would have been out of office. If you think about it.
It's power to the people, because
Not in that sense of how
because
we view it.
yes it is, bro. Because in the previous midterm election, I ain't gonna say because we was young as hell when that happened. I don't know who was running for like Senate and stuff like that, but it's whoever. The electoral college is like whoever wins that state, but whoever is in control of those like those smaller
polls.
parts. Did y'all know what redlining is? Y'all know what that is?
No.
Redlining is like, man, I got to give y'all an example. It's like, say this is a square, right? I'm gonna show the viewers. Oh, yeah, this is the first time we're doing this, but say it's like a square. They're gonna divide that square into like sanctions
4
and
quadrants.
they're gonna divide it into a way where they know where the outcome will be, and that's one of the reasons why.
But would they have the control for that outcome?
Who? The people who make the redlining?
Yes.
Yes, on God, right. Fool, if I know that Sam, like me, you, Sam, and are all on the same, like all on different pages, but he mostly on your side,
Right.
they gonna cut me off because they know you on your side and make y'all win for some reason. That's kind of how like redlining works. It's like dividing areas to where they already know the outcome, and that's one reason why.
So they're gonna say, you're saying that they know what's gonna happen next.
Yeah,
As they move.
on God, right? They already know it. Fool. It's already set in stone. Some shit is already, sorry. But
No, you good, man. You
some
good.
stuff is already set in stone in some situations.
Yeah, like, but it was set in stone that we 3/5 of a person. So you saying that can't be changed?
First of all, that wasn't true, and we a whole person. We have our own minds.
Of course, it's not
We think-
true, but
we think-
according to the Declaration of Independence, like
I
it is true.
would say this, fool, with the Declaration of Independence, that the reason why they put that there because they didn't understand who we were as a people, and because we
they
can't
understood who he was.
No, they didn't understand food. If they was an early country. I'm not defending them at all, but we were early American. That's why I call it early American history. We were early America. When we have some people from foreign,
He wasn't even American.
food. When we have people come from like a foreign nation, we tend to do the same thing. We treat them different too.
You talking about like call them terrorists and all
Yeah,
that?
it's a terrorist. What's the thing going on right now?
Foreign? Oh no, we call them illegal aliens.
Yeah. Fool, we
What you
call them. How is that
Really,
not
it's
the
not
same
what
as
we say. It's
three
what
fifth
the
person?
people higher up say.
How is that?
You know, they have since they're in that position of power, they think that they have the right to
deem somebody.
deem the next person who looks exactly like them. Yeah, like how would they know? How do you represent? What do you think they're represented as? Because of you depicting yourself in a much higher position, in a much higher level? No, it shouldn't have to work like
And
that.
really, to be honest with you, I say this, and I say it to anybody who disagrees. The United States ain't really